A war that the world feared is now real. U.S. and Israeli forces have launched a massive, coordinated military campaign against Iran. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, is dead. The Strait of Hormuz closed, oil prices surging, and the entire Middle East on the edge of catastrophe. Welcome. In the next 20 minutes, we will walk you through everything that is happening, blow by blow, and what it means for the world. Let's start from the beginning. On Saturday, in what shocked the world, U.S. and Israeli forces launched a coordinated airstrike of unprecedented scale on Iran. The stated goal, eliminate Iran's nuclear program and its military capability. But the most dramatic outcome? The killing of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. President Trump confirmed the news hours after the strikes, calling it a decisive moment. But he also acknowledged something remarkable, that he may have forced Israel's hand. Quote from Trump, "If anything, I might have forced Israel's hand, but Israel was ready, and we were ready, and we've had a very, very powerful impact because virtually everything they have has been knocked out." U.S. Central Command confirmed that Iranian air defense systems, missile launch sites, drone bases, military airfields, and IRGC command facilities were destroyed in sustained operations. This was not a spontaneous strike. Reports suggest it was a sophisticated, long-planned intelligence operation, and that Tehran's traffic cameras had reportedly been hacked for years as part of the surveillance infrastructure. At the heart of this conflict, Iran's nuclear program. Explosions were heard in the cities of Isfahan and Shiraz, home to some of Iran's most critical nuclear and missile facilities. Isfahan alone houses the Nuclear Technology Center, the uranium conversion facility, the fuel manufacturing plant, and a nuclear waste storage site. Shiraz is home to missile production and a major missile base. The International Atomic Energy Agency confirmed damage to the Natanz fuel enrichment plant, though it said no radiological consequences were expected. The IAEA chief Rafael Grossi made an urgent appeal. We must return to diplomacy and negotiations. Meanwhile, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov warned that this war could push not just Iran, but Arab nations too, toward pursuing nuclear weapons. Iran did not stay silent. Following the killing of Khamenei, Iran launched retaliatory strikes across the Gulf, now entering their fourth consecutive day. Here is what has been hit. UAE, 186 missiles were launched. 172 were intercepted. 1 struck land. 3 people were killed. 1 Pakistani, 1 Nepalese, 1 Bangladeshi. Amazon's data centers in the UAE were directly struck by drones, disrupting cloud services across the Middle East. Bahrain, the IRGC claimed a massive drone and missile attack on the Sheikh Issa U.S. Air Base, destroying the command headquarters and setting fuel tanks on fire. Saudi Arabia, 2 drones struck the U.S. Embassy in Riyadh, causing a limited fire. Saudi Arabia intercepted 8 more drones near Riyadh and Al-Kharj. Kuwait, the U.S. Embassy was closed. In a shocking incident, the Kuwaiti military mistakenly shot down 3 U.S. F-15E fighter jets during an Iranian attack. All 6 crew members were safely recovered. Qatar, explosions were heard in Doha. Qatar confirmed it had not run out of interceptor missiles and remains on high alert. Iran struck the Qatar Energy LNG facility. Europe's gas prices rose more than 20% as a result. Oman, drones targeted an Omani port, hitting a fuel tank. Iraq, fresh drone strikes and protests in Baghdad. The U.S. ordered non-emergency personnel to depart immediately. In Iran alone, the death toll has reached nearly 800, according to the Iranian Red Crescent. The most devastating single incident, a U.S.-Israeli strike on a girls' school in Manab, Iran. At least 180 students and civilians were killed. The United Nations Human Rights Office has called for an immediate, impartial investigation. The UN's human rights chief, Volker Turk, said the situation was entirely avoidable, calling it a playing out of the world's worst fears. Beyond Iran, Lebanon, 40 killed, 246 injured in Israeli strikes. UAE, 3 killed, 68 injured. Israel, approximately 10 killed in Iranian strikes. Iraq, 2 killed. Kuwait, Oman, Bahrain, 1 killed each. 4 American service members were killed during U.S. operations in Iran. And a historic cultural loss, Iran's Golestan Palace, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, was damaged in the strikes. Its mirrored throne room, though, had been moved to a secure vault before the conflict. Here is where the conflict stops being just a military story and becomes an economic crisis for the entire world. Iran's Revolutionary Guards have announced the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, the world's most critical energy artery. At least 1/5 of global oil consumption passes through this narrow passage. IRGC Brigadier General Ibrahim Jabari declared on state television, "The Strait of Hormuz is closed. Any ship that tries to pass will be set on fire." He added that Iran would target oil pipelines across the region. The impact was immediate. Global benchmark Brent crude rose above $79 a barrel after spiking 7% in a single day. West Texas Intermediate hovered near $72. Iraq, which relies on the strait, has already cut oil production by 700,000 barrels per day from the Rumaila oil field. It warned of a further cut of 3 million barrels per day. European natural gas prices surged more than 20%. And India faces a particularly acute crisis. While official figures suggest India has 74 days of oil reserves, industry insiders warn the real figure is closer to 20 to 25 days compared to China's 6 months. This war has drawn reactions from every corner of the world. Let's go region by region. United States, Trump has been defiant throughout, posting on Truth Social that U.S. munitions stockpiles are at record highs and that wars can be fought forever with the current supply. He blamed Joe Biden for depleting high-grade weaponry during support to Ukraine. United Kingdom, a rare public rift with its closest ally. UK PM Keir Starmer refused to join the strikes, citing the lessons of the 2003 Iraq War. Trump responded by calling the UK-US relationship not what it was. He praised France instead, calling Macron a great ally. Russia condemned the strikes as a pre-planned and unprovoked act of armed aggression. Foreign Minister Lavrov said Russia sees no proof Iran was pursuing nuclear weapons. President Putin offered to use Russia's links with Iran to help restore calm, calling multiple Gulf leaders to express criticism of the U.S.-Israel operation. European Union, NATO chief Mark Rutte said many European allies quietly supported the elimination of Iran's nuclear and missile capability and the removal of Khamenei, though Rutte acknowledged the crisis is deepening. The EU began evacuating stranded citizens from Italy, Austria, and Slovakia and called an emergency meeting of its gas coordination group. Gulf states, Oman's foreign minister called for an immediate ceasefire. There are off-ramps available. Let's use them. UAE markets closed for 2 days, reopening March 4th. Qatar said Iranian strikes will not go unanswered. The UN Security Council was urged by Iran to intervene, though action remains blocked. China, Beijing announced it will take all necessary measures to secure its own energy supply. As Iran's largest trading partner, with $22 billion in exports from Iran, 80% of which is oil, China has enormous stakes in this conflict. India. Prime Minister Modi spoke with the leaders of Qatar, Oman, and Kuwait, expressing deep concern. 3 Indian nationals were killed in separate attacks on oil tankers near Oman. Indian students remain stranded in Iranian cities. So, what is Donald Trump's endgame here? He has been explicit. He wants Iran's military dismantled, and he wants regime change, though he prefers it to come from within. When asked about the worst-case scenario, Trump said, "The worst case would be that somebody takes over as bad as the previous person." He called for someone more appropriate to lead Iran. He has also suggested that had he not exited Obama's Iran nuclear deal, the JCPOA, Iran would already have a nuclear weapon today. At the same time, Trump's signals on diplomacy have been contradictory. Last weekend, he told The Atlantic he had agreed to talks with Iran. Then, when Iran signaled interest in talks, he took to Truth Social and wrote, "Their air defense, Air Force, Navy, and leadership is gone. They want to talk." I said, "Too late. Escalation. Iran continues missile and drone strikes across the Gulf. The Strait of Hormuz stays closed. Oil prices spike toward $100, $150, or higher. Gulf economies fracture. A wider regional war involving Hezbollah, Iraq's militias, and possibly Yemen's Houthis deepens the conflict. Russia and China are drawn further in. Ceasefire and negotiation. Mediators like Oman, Qatar, and possibly Russia broker a pause. Iran's new leadership, whoever emerges, signals willingness to negotiate a new nuclear framework. The strait reopens, but the road to stability will be long. Prolonged stalemate. Iran is militarily weakened but not defeated. Guerrilla and proxy attacks continue. Iran's economy collapses, but its resistance hardens. The region lives in a state of low-grade, indefinite conflict. Israeli PM Netanyahu, for his part, has said this will not be an endless war, calling it a quick and decisive action, though he acknowledged it may take some time. Millions of civilians across Iran, Lebanon, the UAE, Israel, and beyond are living in fear. Global energy markets are in turmoil. The rules of international order, sovereignty, diplomacy, the UN Security Council are being tested like never before in a generation. The killing of a supreme leader, the closure of the world's most vital oil passage, strikes on UNESCO heritage sites, evacuations across a dozen nations, a global economic shockwave. Whatever your politics and whatever your perspective, the people caught in the crossfire of this conflict deserve our attention, our empathy, and our demand for accountability from those in power. We will continue to bring you updates as the situation develops. Stay informed, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next update.